Diyos. Maraming salamat po sa buhay at lakas na aming taglay, sa liwanag ng kaisipan at sa pagkakataong maipagpatuloy ang pag-aaral ng mga kabataan. Gabayan po ang bawat isa sa amin. Anuman ang bahagi na aming gagampanan, naway maging maayos at matagumpay ang pagtuturo at pag-aaral na aming gagawin sa araw na ito. Patawarin mo po kami sa aming mga pagkulang at pagkakasala. At sa aming paggawa, ikaw po ang aming makasama. Amen.
Good morning, virtual learners. Welcome to our 11th session. It is such a cold morning, right? Christmas breeze is definitely around the corner. I know the weather is inviting for us to stay in bed, and I congratulate you for being with me this morning. But before you think of going back, move your hands and give it a shake. We need to have some blood flowing. Have you done it? Good job. Thank you for being with me for another session. Today, we will be guided by the following most essential learning competencies. Distinguishes types of speeches and uses principles of effective delivery in different situations. For the last two meetings, I have discussed further on how to prepare and deliver the two speeches according to delivery, right? Where I have shown videos as an example. Please help me recall. You might type it down on the comment box below. What are those two speeches that was already discussed? They are? Okay, entertainment and informative speeches. Were you able to draft your own speeches? I bet you did. And of course, last on our list is, you may comment it below. Where is the last speech according to delivery? Indeed, it is persuasive speech. So for this morning, we're going to deal about organizing and delivering a persuasive speech. On its definition, a persuasive speech seeks to provide the audience with favorable or acceptable ideas that can influence their own ideas and decisions. For the qualities of an effective persuasive speech, this should be involved. First is it should have a well-defined goal. Is there a specific goal in mind? Because we need to make the audience think and act differently. Second quality is it should have a clear main point because it should be specific and focused. Third quality is sufficient supporting ideas. Is there factual information and reliable sources? How about solid evidence to support the main point? Fourth quality is logical reasoning. How are the supporting ideas arranged? Is it deductive, inductive, causal, or analogy? Fifth quality is effective attention getter strategies. What did you use? Have you included striking statistics like numbers, researches? How about shocking incident, memorable anecdotes, powerful relevant questions, or humorous observations or experiences? For the next quality is it should have compelling ideas to make the audience feel and think. In a persuasive speech, we should make sure that our audience would be able to think and act. So it should appeal to their emotion and to their mind. Last quality is there should have salient motives to target the salient needs of your audience. Would there be development after they heard your speech? Here are the different types of claims in persuasive speech. What should be the focus of your speech? First one would be speech that questions fact, speech that questions value, and the third one is speech that questions policy. Let's look at it one by one. On the speech that questions fact, this type questions the existence of a particular event. The persuasive speaker poses questions or facts, derives conclusion from different sources of information, and attempts to convince the audience to believe in his or her ideas. Here is an example. The argument would be death penalty as punishment is not effective as it does not deter crime. For your purpose is to persuade listeners that the death penalty is ineffective as it does not deter crime. The main point is death penalty does not work as an effective punishment because it does not deter crime. You see the development now? And for your support idea, in a survey of various experts from the American Society of Criminology, the Academy of Criminal Justice Sciences, and the Law and Society Association, it was found that majority of the experts did not see death penalty as a deterrent to homicide. So see, you have here quoted or cited important personalities in relation to your speech. How about the speech that questions value? This type focuses on questions of value regarding topics on the self, family, friendship, religion, government, freedom, love, and money, among others. The persuasive speaker makes a statement or claim which reflects his or her judgment. Second, attempts to convince his or her audience of his judgment. And third, justifies it based on standards. Here is an example. For the argument, sentencing criminals to death is wrong, for the purpose to persuade listeners that the death penalty is wrong. For the main point, sentencing criminals to death is wrong because human life is precious. No man has the right to sentence a fellow human being to death, and even so, there is no fair way of meting out this punishment. For the supporting idea, criminals might be sentenced to death based on other external factors such as their race. In phase study by the American Civil Liberties Union of 2003, found that there is a racial bias in the application of the death penalty. How about the speech that questions policy? This type questions the current state of things which can impact the future. The persuasive speaker asks relevant questions that can help in making a decision on whether or not something should be implemented, observed, or done. Here is an example. For your argument, the government should not revive death penalty. For the purpose, to persuade listeners that the death penalty should not be revived by the government. For your main point, the government should not revive death penalty as it does not directly decrease the crime rate. For your supporting idea, in the United States, it was found that states with no death penalty have lower rates compared to those which have death penalty in place. Are you still with me? Let's go to the next topic, organization patterns. So how do we now organize our supporting ideas and our persuasive speech? First is we have AFORES, which is an acronym. Later, I will discuss this one with you. Second is problem solution. Third, problem cause solution. Fourth, comparative advantages. And the fifth one is Monroe's motivated sequence. For the first one, for the AFORES, which is an acronym as what I told you a while ago, letter A stands for anecdotes. It is where you begin your speech with a personal story, observation, or experience. The second one would be facts and figures. You have to provide striking statistics that can support your ideas. Again, statistics. Third one is opinion. Add in your opinion. Or you can begin your statement with, I believe that, because it's important to express your own opinion as a persuasive speaker. Fourth one is a rhetorical question. Think of and add engaging rhetorical questions like which do not intend to elicit answers but to make a point. So on the rhetorical questions, this would make your audience think and ponder on your main point by asking a question. Fifth one is for the letter E, it's emotive language. Appeal to your audience emotion. Sixth one, superlatives. Use superlatives to exaggerate an idea. Tripling, The rule of three in this English writing principle simply entails using three words together to reinforce your point, or this would be your takeaway for your audience. This may add to the effectiveness of your persuasion. Okay, let us recall again. A for us. A for anecdotes. F for facts and figures. O for opinion. R for rhetorical questions. E for emotive language. S for superlatives, and letter T for shifting. So here is an example. For your anecdote, for the introduction part, of course, it is the content. It is sad to share how my friend's father died of lethal injection years ago. He suffered and was killed for a crime he never did. There is no reason for the state to revive the death penalty. So you see here, there is a recall of an experience. For the facts and figures, when RA 7659 or the death penalty law was still active, 6 innocent people out of 10 convicts were executed. So see, you will see here figures like 6 out of 10 and the RA 7659. For the opinion part is when you say reviving this or the death penalty is unjustifiable. For the rhetorical question, the question is how many more innocent men and women will suffer? For the emotive language, what we are a nation that values life and thinks that everyone deserves chances to change and live for their families. For the superlatives, review the law only when the lives of those wrongly sentenced are revived. For the tripling, the three effective words would be think, analyze, and act. For the next pattern, we have problem solution. So here, you have to identify the problem and of course, you provide the solution. So here is an example. For example, the purpose of your speech would be persuade listeners that the LGBT community shall be protected from discrimination. For your main point, LGBT members deserve to be protected by the state against the exclusivity in any workplace or office. Your supporting idea, there have been horrible reports and cases of discrimination at work in terms of promotion and benefits. Hence, there is a need to create and implement a policy related to this. You might recall a SOGI bill. So here is the example of the outline. So for the problem is stated in the introduction, noting about the discrimination of LGBT in the workplace. For the solution would be on the body, which is to policy that clearly defines the right of the LGBT. For the support 1 and 2 are this policy that is for protection and for recognition, respectively. How about the problem cause solution? This time around, aside from identifying the problem, you also identify the cause of the problem. And at the end is what are the possible solutions or the suggested solutions for this problem. So for the example, for the purpose, persuade listeners why the state needs to converge with the private sector in maintaining and protecting national heritage. For the main point, preserving our national heritage sites such as century-old churches, theaters, and other artifacts is the least priority of the government. So they should tie up with private establishments to maintain these historical places. For the support idea, one can observe that these sites are losing their historical and cultural value. Here is the outline. The problem should be introduced in the introduction. So, and the problem, it is not considered a priority of the government for our historical sites. For the root cause, it's budget allocation. For the support, so it's budget appropriation to preservation of sites. For the solution, promote public-private partnership. And then for the support of that, reports showing successful partnerships. Fourth pattern is comparative advantages. Here, you're going to enumerate different advantages and then you're going to weigh which is more feasible and practical. The example would be purpose would be persuade listeners on the need for pure online classes for the new normal. We can relate to this. The main point is with the current pandemic, it is impossible to conduct face-to-face classes. For the supporting idea, to ensure the health of the learners and teachers, we should strictly implement online classes. So here is an outline. For the problem, it is the rising COVID cases. Printed modules might also be a cause to transmit the virus. For the solution 1, lend smartphones to qualified students. For the support 1 and 2, students may submit their activities online and real-time submission of activities to the teacher. For the second solution, teachers will upload video lessons or lectures online via FB groups so that students may be able to review previous lectures. For the support 1 and 2, students only interact via online and students can easily access previous lectures. For the comparison, this can be a good solution. And we will see here whether it is practical or feasible. Next out pattern would be Bonro's motivated sequence. So here is it. Number 1, you have to grab the attention of the audience by identifying the challenge you plan to confront or the problem you plan to address. Number 2, establish the need or urgency to address the identified challenge or problem. Third, present possible solutions to your audience to satisfy the need. And fourth one, help your audience visualize. Use vivid words to convince your audience about the benefits they can gain from the solutions you presented. Fifth, engage the audience to participate in promoting change through a call for action. Okay, let us look on the highlighted words. Get the attention, there is a need, satisfy the need, visualize, and call for action. So these 5 should be present in your persuasive speech. So here are the reasons why the audience can be persuaded. So it is actually a problem. How can we look believable? How can we look persuasive to our audience? So first one is they perceive that the speaker has credibility. Second, they are convinced by the evidence presented by the speaker. That's why make sure that your evidence are reliable. Third, they are convinced by the speaker's reasoning. And the last one would be their emotions are touched by the speaker's ideas or use of language. The above ideas highlight some of the methods you can use in your persuasive speech. These methods are commonly used and proven to be effective by any prominent and excellent speaker across the globe. The following are some tips on how to enhance your credibility, how to use evidence, how to use reasoning, and how to observe ethics and emotional appeal in a persuasive speech. Let us start. How to enhance your credibility. First is explain how you became an expert on the topic. You can do this by sharing how well you read, investigated, or researched the topic. Second would be connect your experiences, beliefs, values, or attitudes with your audience. You can do this by telling your audience that you have the same experiences, beliefs, values, or attitudes. Third one would be practice more often so you can deliver your speech with conviction. Rehearse, rehearse, and rehearse. Second, how to use evidence. Number 1, specify evidence. You can do this by citing statistics, research studies, and other valid and credible information. Second is avoid outdated evidence. You can do this by reading and digging new evidence to keep yourself updated on the significant facts and figures. That's why research is very much important. Next is choose reputable or credible sources for your evidence. You can do this by carefully identifying and evaluating your sources. Third is how to use reasoning. Avoid logical fallacies or errors in reasoning. So we have different logical fallacies. Number 1 would be ad hominem. This happens when you attack the character of a person instead of his argument. Or the second one is circular argument. This happens when the idea of a stated argument is repeated. False analogy. This happens when two things, which might be alike in some respects, are compared and assumed to be similar in other ways. False authority. This happens when a statement of someone who is not an expert in the field in question is being used in an argument. Next, false cause effects. This happens when the connection between two consecutive events are not clear. Hasty generalization. This happens when a conclusion is drawn from insufficient evidence. Red herring happens when the answer does not address the question. So make sure to avoid these logical fallacies in your persuasive speech. For the fourth method is how to use emotional appeal. Internalize what you are saying. The audience will be more convinced of your message if you also show conviction in what you are saying. That's why it is important that you would always rehearse and practice your material before you deliver it to your audience so that you would sound more believable. You would sound that your speech is part of you as a speaker. Second one is use emotion appropriately. Also, a well-executed emotional appeal can be used as a strong weapon in persuasive speech. Take note to use it only when appropriate to the message. Use it as an accessory only. Make sure not to replace evidence and reasoning with pure emotion, because you should still base it on fact. I hope today's discussion gives you inspiration on how you will arrange your ideas for your persuasive speech that is now brewing in your minds. But before that, let us acknowledge the following teachers who have written your modules for our second month. Mrs. Julie A. Mabasa from Ugong Senior High School, and Mr. Brian A. Kobe from Valenzuela National High School. A heartfelt. For our question and answer part, here is our first question. What is an important factor in successful persuasive speaking? Among all those topics that was discussed, what do you think is the most important factor to achieve that success in persuasive speaking? It is audience analysis. It is important because the audience will be convinced for their own reasons, not for the speaker's reason. That's why it's important for a speaker to take note and identify the age group, the educational background, the economic status of the people or his or her audience. For the second question, what are the tools for persuasion? Of course, aside from the speaker and the material, make sure that your speech would observe these three tools as well. We have the ethos, pathos, and the logos. Ethos is the ability to appeal to an audience based on your personal reputation and how others perceive you as a speaker. The pathos is the emotional based appeal, and the logos is the logic or reason appeal. Questions have been answered. I hope you enjoy your holidays. With that, happy holidays. See you on our next virtual meeting. Goodbye.